What's up YouTube, this is Bystander X79 guys, and welcome to my latest Speed Duel deck profile for June 2020. Alright, I haven't really been doing that many Speed Duel decks as of late, primarily because Konami hasn't been releasing that many new Speed Duel products. Kinda sucks, but with the release of the brand new Star Decks that just came out a couple weeks back, we actually are starting to see some more consistency based cards for particular decks. So I'm slowly going through all my Speed Duel decks, looking what I can upgrade, looking what I can upgrade, and the first one I decided to upgrade was going to be my Skull Servant deck. This is one of the decks that I had to pick up once it was introduced into Speed Duels. Talking about having a monster that could potentially go 4,000, 5,000 attack. There's no monsters in Speed Duel that can really beat out those cards in more attack power when you get a single monster up that high, so it is insane. And personally, with how I supplemented this particular deck, adding a little bit more deck mill into it, yeah, I can tell you right now, this deck can really force your opponent to play a long duel where they're going to be going through their resources pretty damn hard and pretty damn fast. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into this deck. And first monster up is going to be 3 copies of the King of Skull Servants. This is a must in any Skull Servant deck. 3 copies, it gains 1,000 attack points for every King of Skull Servant or Skull Servant monster that's in your graveyard. So 1 card on the field, 5 cards in the graveyard, 5,000 attack. You have 2 of these monsters on the field with the other 4 cards in your graveyard, 4,000 attack apiece. So yes, you get the idea. This card can really get big and cause a lot of problems. Furthermore, if somehow your opponent does manage to get over the monsters, you can easily turn around and resurrect the monster back onto your field by banishing a Skull Servant card from your graveyard to bring it back. And to complement this King of Skull Servants, you have 3 copies of Skull Servant itself. Okay. Next up in this deck, I'm running 3 copies of Goblin Zombie. Goblin Zombie does double duty in this deck. For one thing, whenever this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you're searching any zombie-type monster with 1,500 or less defense. King of Skull Servant has 0 defense. Skull Servant has 200 defense. Hell, even the big monster in this deck only has 1,500 defense, and you can basically search out any of those monsters to get into your hand, which is just awesome. Not only that, but if Goblin Zombie inflicts battle damage to your opponent, they're losing the top card of the deck, and this supplemental deck mill type strategy added into Skull Servants, it just hurts your opponent so much because they're going to be constantly losing things out of their deck, and it can actually really force your opponent to rethink strategies. And last but not least, we got the big boss monster in this deck. We have Vampire Lord. Vampire Lord, if it inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you call either monster, spell, or trap, and your opponent has to send one card of that type from their deck to the graveyard. So if you know what your opponent is playing and you know what key cards are there, you can basically just have them remove those key cards, and it just causes a whole lot more problems because their resources are going to the graveyard. Speed Duels doesn't really have a lot of graveyard recursion effects in it, so definitely this can really hurt your opponent. Not only that, if this card is ever destroyed, it can bring itself back during your standby phase, so very awesome. That's it for the monster lineup. To help boost the consistency of this deck so you can see more cards, we are running 2 copies of Allure of Darkness. This card was released via the new Starter Decks, and I'm enjoying this card so much in a lot of different decks because it just boosts the consistency of the deck. And seeing more cards does help out this deck a lot. Only 2 copies. Also running 2 copies of Book of Life. Book of Life is basically a monster reborn for zombie-type monsters, and you can also banish monsters out of your opponent's graveyard as well. So, very, very awesome. And then we have 2 copies of Adhesion Trap Hole. I like Adhesion Trap Hole in this card, in this deck, primarily because whenever your opponent summons monsters, flip this card face up, they're losing half the attack, and it makes it a lot more easier for your zombie monsters to get over those weakened monsters. So, definitely worth having. And of course, in case they get over your monsters, you can take a monster with them with Michizuri. And last but not least, we have one of the best cards in Speed Duel, Windstorm of Etiquette. It just forces all your opponent's monsters into defense mode if they're in attack position. If the weaker monsters are in defense position, they go into attack mode, so you can get over those cards a little bit easier. Just makes for an all-around great card in this deck. So that's it for the main deck. 20 cards, easy. And then last but not least, we're covering a skill, and I'm doing Viral Infection. Viral Infection, in my opinion, is the best skill for this deck. I know a lot of people saying, oh, you should be running the Bone skill for this deck. The Bone skill only sends a level 3 or lower normal zombie monster from your deck to your graveyard. So, in my opinion, not that as good, because you're not really getting anything else out of your deck into your graveyard for it. With Viral Infection, you're sending cards from your hand to your graveyard, and then you call a monster, spell, or trap, and your opponent has to send an equal number of the type you called from their deck to their graveyard in order for this thing to go. And not only that, but it's multiple times per duel, so you can really weaken your opponent's deck a whole lot. And by having Allure of Darkness available to us, we can see more cards, and this means a lot more things can be going to your opponent's graveyard. So, and not only that, but since the zombie virus spreads very quickly, it just fits into the theme even better. So that's the primary reason why I run this particular skill. Alright guys, that is it for my Skull Servant deck profile for June 2020, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more content like this on my channel, make sure to give this card a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. Enable notifications so you don't miss any uploads. Check out the description box below. Find the links to my affiliates, TCG Player, as well as SideDeckVersus.com. Both are great resources for any Yu-Gi-Oh player. Check me out on social media, Twitter, and Reddit. And guys, if you want to help join my community, the link to my Discord server is also in the description box below. So guys, as always, until next time, peace!